Of course. Happy to be here. Sorry Chris couldn't be here.
Ward, this is Jeremy Cheney. I'm sorry, Jeffrey. Why did I say Jeremy? Jeffrey Cheney from Chris's firm.
Pleasure to meet you.
You too.
You also remember? Yep.
That's why I asked you, because I like to talk to people who have done stuff. He just said,
Okay, perfect.
And I said, but they've been trailing him.
But I think they said that they had
DNA from the genetic.
and the cases in them. DNA on it.
This is almost done. Almost done. Smoother. You know, it's just all over the place.
Because I'm just
And,
very
you
annoyed.
know, always happens that you always end up picking up random positions and you're no different.
Neither am I. I like what's going on. It's more democracy.
No, I like it. I like it.
I know, that's not true. I tell them that if they
We can't talk to people who don't worry about they okay. Well, I don't know what happened.
just stand at home.
Yeah, I was also, but that doesn't mean anything.
And I would,
If you see me and
and
they
you help me get, I was just on it at home.
What attorney's going to swear you two in?
Okay.
That you can see it on the agenda.
Yes.
And
He's the alternate.
come on up.
Yeah, come on, Louis.
Is there his name? Yeah. That's where you sit. At least for now. Just be careful of the cameras.
You can talk
This is
about
a
me later.
temporary setup.
I won't hold you to it.
I don't think that.
Unless you, I guess you know some of the board as well.
Listen, don't grow old, it's a trap.
I need talk.
You got my email, right?
Talk to not me.
Yeah, we're having some technical issues, so we have a bit of a set up here for
What do they
tonight.
say?
We're still broadcasting, that's fine, we're recording, but what's it, it's just gonna be a little different. So, we'll still get everything,
When
don't
I
worry.
had it plugged in, it was doing an upgrade.
So you have an agenda?
Did that happen here?
Before we
No,
do it,
I came on and said you're the router or something or other. I don't understand.
Well, then when you did
we'll
upgrade.
continue business. You just follow your agenda. Welcome.
Yeah,
When's
you keep laughing.
No,
Excuse me,
you don't
everybody?
need for a
Why
month.
this
You
stuff?
don't need for a month and things just.
Excuse me, everyone? Hi, I'm sorry, just really quick, I just need total silence just for 1 second. I just need to sync up the cameras real quick. Thank you.
Okay. Take one.
Yeah, take one, we're good.
I went to schedule, I can still think to work. And it was like 2 days, it didn't end, like 2 days. I don't know, if I think it's probably right. Because I feel like everything's based on rules, just like how it's supposed to be. That's what I feel like.
Went fast.
He's doing great, all stressed out because at the end of this year, he takes his SAT.
He'll probably look at the next.
And he is.
How about you, good? Not that bad. Year. Many blessings. Happy New Year. Happy New Year. Many blessings. Happy New Year. Welcome aboard.
Happy New Year in person. Happy New Year.
I like your black turtleneck. Very dapper you look. You always look.
Well, yeah,
strong.
that.
Yes.
Happy New Year.
Beautiful, beautiful shirt and tie together.
Always, always.
Very, very, very nice.
And here we are. Amen, another year.
What?
I said amen, another year.
Another year. This is what I have to do. I don't know that.
Well, kind of it's really nice, yeah. You could bring it up, you know. See.
It's nothing.
Oh, okay.
I finally went something over this, and I said, I had so somebody from here and I see how the I just put the very
Yeah, that's easy enough. Yeah.
remember.
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
And then,
It's not easy at times, you know?
no,
Like I showed up, I hardly, you know, so.
I remember you took me home that night.
And then, you know, like, I couldn't get it, I was sick as a dog.
I think that's what we did last with COVID.
Right after, I couldn't come to the last meeting, now it's. And I told them everybody that was at the party to tell them I had taken the test. And then I found out somebody else that had told me that was at the party, but they didn't know. Because I couldn't understand, I had to get out for a week. And it all
Takes
takes
a
time
while.
to get down. I know. How are you?
Yes, amen.
Healthy, hopefully.
7:30, we'll call the meeting to order.
You don't have that, you have nothing.
Start with a salute to the flag.
Pledge allegiance to
To
the
the
flag
flag
The United States of America, and to the republic for which stands one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Start with swearing in. We have 3 members to swear in. To start with the 2 board members, Ms. Doreen Chevalier.
Yep.
All right. You want to do it down here, wherever you want to.
Here?
Okay, perfect.
There's fine.
Can you hear me fine with this? Okay. If you want to repeat after me, I say your full name. State your full name.
Doreen Chevalier,
Do solemnly swear
do solemnly swear
or affirm
or affirm
that I will support the Constitution of the
that
United
I will
States
support the Constitution of the United States
and the Constitution of New Jersey,
and the Constitution of New Jersey.
that I will bear true faith and allegiance to the same,
I will bear
true faith and allegiance
faith and allegiance
to the same,
to the same,
and to the governments established in the United States
and to the governments established in the United States
and in the state,
and in the state,
under the authority of the people,
under the authority of the people,
and that I will faithfully,
and that I will faithfully,
impartially, and justly perform all the duties of my position,
I will impartially
and justly perform
and justly perform
all the duties of my position
all the duties of my position
as board member for the Zoning Board of Adjustment
as board member for the Zoning Board of Adjustment
for the Township of Old Bridge
Township of Old,
to the best of my ability.
to the best of my ability. Yeah.
I'll have you sign after.
Yeah, now do the same thing. Yeah, right.
Yep, that's Alright, Leon. Alright. Leon, how do you pronounce your last name?
Scogno.
Okay. Alright, next we have Leon Scogno. I, state your full name,
Leon Scogno,
do solemnly swear or affirm
do solemnly swear or affirm
that I will support the Constitution of the United States
that I will support the Constitution of the United States
and the Constitution of New Jersey,
and the Constitution of New Jersey,
that I will bear true faith and allegiance
that I have bear true faith and allegiance
to the same and to the governments established in the United States
to the same and to the governments established in the United States
and in this state under the authority of the people,
and in the states under the authority of the people,
and that I will faithfully, impartially, and justly perform all the duties of my position
and that I will faithfully, impartially, and justly perform all the duties of my position
as board member for the Zoning Board of Adjustment for the Township. Go ahead.
as board member for the Zoning Board of Adjustments for the Township of Old Bridge to the best of my ability.
Thank you. Yep. And then, all right, and finally we have Mr. Louis Izzo, the alternate. Mr. Izzo, repeat after me. I, state your full name,
I, Louis Izzo,
do solemnly swear or affirm
do solemnly swear or affirm
that I will support the Constitution of the United States and go ahead,
that I will support the Constitution of the United States,
and the Constitution of New Jersey,
the Constitution of New Jersey,
that I will bear true faith and allegiance to the same
that I will bear true faith and allegiance to the same,
and to the governments established in the United States and in this state,
and to the governments established in the United States and in the state,
under the authority of the people,
under the authority of the people,
and that I will faithfully, impartially, and justly perform all the duties of my position
and that I will faithfully, impartially, and justly perform all the duties of my position
as alternate number 1 for the Zoning Board of Adjustment for the Township of Old Bridge to the best of my ability.
as alternate number 1 for the zoning board of adjustments to the Township of Old Bridge to the best of my ability.
Thank you, Mr. Izzo. All right, next on the agenda, Ms. C, if you want to do a roll call, please.
Mr. Sullivan,
Here.
Mr. Connor,
Here.
Mr. Stoner,
Here.
Ms. Chevalier,
Here.
Mr. Scogno,
Here.
Ms. Andrews,
Here.
Ms. Testaverde,
Here.
Mr. Izzo.
Here.
All right, with the roll call done, we'd like to move on to nominations and appointments. First, chairperson. Do we have any nominations
I'd
for?
like to nominate James Sullivan as chairperson.
Second.
Do we have any others? Seeing none, I would move to a vote. Ms. C?
Mr. Sullivan,
Yes.
Mr. Connor,
Yes.
Mr. Stoner,
Yes.
Ms. Chevalier,
Yes.
Mr. Scogno,
Yes.
Ms. Andrews,
Yes.
Ms. Testaverde.
Yes.
Congratulations.
Thank you, board members, for your faith in me for leading the board in 2023. And Happy New Year to each and every one of you and your families. We'll continue on with the nominations. For vice chairperson, I'd like to nominate Jim Connor. I'll second it. Are there any other nominations? Hearing none, we'll close the nominations. Roll call, please, Missy.
Mr. Connor,
Yes.
Mr. Stoner,
Yes.
Ms. Chevalier,
Yes.
Mr. Scogno,
Yes.
Ms. Andrews,
Yes.
Ms. Testaverde,
Yes.
Chairman Sullivan.
Yes. We'll We'll accept nomination for the office of secretary.
I'd like to nominate Ben Stoner as office, as secretary.
Second it.
Is there any other nominations for secretary? Hearing none, I'll close it. Roll call, please.
Mr. Connor?
Yes.
Mr. Stoner?
Yes.
Ms. Chevalier?
Yes.
Mr. Scogno?
Yes.
Ms. Andrews?
Yes.
Ms. Testaverde?
Yes.
Chairman Sullivan?
Yes. Accept nominations for appointments to vice secretary. I'd like to nominate Natalie C.
I'll second that.
Is there any other nominations? Hearing none, you can roll call for yourself.
Mr. Connor?
Yes.
Mr. Stoner?
Yes.
Ms. Chevalier?
Yes.
Mr. Scogno?
Yes.
Ms. Andrews?
Yes.
Ms. Testaverde?
Yes.
Chairman Sullivan?
Absolutely. And thank you for all that you do.
My pleasure.
Board members will move forward with the nominations for the professionals needed for consulting the year 2023. First one would be for board attorney nominations. I'm going to put up Dasty and Associates, PC.
Second motion.
Is there any other nominations for board attorneys? Hearing none, I'll close it. Roll call, please, for Dasty and Associates.
Mr. Connor?
Yes.
Mr. Stoner?
Yes.
Ms. Chevalier?
Yes.
Mr. Scogno?
Yes.
Ms. Andrews?
Yes.
Ms. Testaverde?
Yes.
Chairman Sullivan?
Yes. And by the way, for those sitting in the audience, the gentleman seated next to us is an attorney, and his name is Jeffrey Cheney. He is a member of the firm of Dasty and Associates. Chris Dasty leads that firm and is normally here, but he is taken away from us tonight for other business. So we welcome Mr. Cheney, and we thank him for his guidance and his counsel this evening. We'll move forward on planning consultant nominations. We're going to have 4 of them. The reason we do that is because we have, in the event that there's conflicts, can't have conflicts, so we have to hire outside agencies often to handle that particular issue. So it's going to be the same with planning, with engineering, and with traffic consultants. And it's a normal course of business. So we're going to nominate 4. The first one I'd like to put up, Environmental Resolutions, Inc.
I'll second.
Roll call, please.
Mr. Connor?
Yes.
Mr. Stoner?
Yes.
Ms. Chevalier?
Yes.
Mr. Scogno?
Yes.
Ms. Andrews?
Yes.
Ms. Testaverde?
Yes.
Chairman Sullivan?
Yes. Second one I'd like to put up is CME Associates.
I'll second.
Roll call, please.
Mr. Connor?
Yes.
Mr. Stoner?
Yes.
Ms. Chevalier?
Yes.
Mr. Scogno?
Yes.
Ms. Andrews?
Yes.
Ms. Testaverde?
Yes.
Chairman Sullivan?
Yes. For the third one, I'd like to place in nomination Remington and Vernick Engineers.
I'll second it.
Roll call, please, Ms. Singh.
Mr. Connor?
Yes.
Mr. Stoner?
Yes.
Ms. Chevalier?
Yes.
Mr. Scogno?
Yes.
Ms. Andrews?
Yes.
Ms. Testaverde?
Yes.
Chairman Sullivan?
Yes. And finally, Board, I'd like to put up for the number 4 planning consultants nominations, Harbor Consultants.
I'll second.
Roll call, please, Ms. Singh.
Mr. Connor?
Yes.
Mr. Stoner?
Yes.
Ms. Chevalier?
Yes.
Mr. Scogno?
Yes.
Ms. Andrews?
Yes.
Ms. Testaverde?
Yes.
Chairman Sullivan?
Yes. Right, likewise, board members will move now to engineering consultant nominations. We're going to have 3 of those. The first one I would put up is Environmental Resolutions, Inc.
I'll second it.
Roll call, please, Ms. Singh.
Mr. Connor?
Yes.
Mr. Stoner?
Yes.
Ms. Chevalier?
Yes.
Mr. Scogno?
Yes.
Ms. Andrews?
Yes.
Ms. Testaverde?
Yes.
Chairman Sullivan?
Yes. The second one I'd like to put in nomination is CME Associates.
I'll second.
Roll call, please.
Mr. Connor?
Yes.
Mr. Stoner?
Yes.
Ms. Chevalier?
Yes.
Mr. Scogno?
Yes.
Ms. Andrews?
Yes.
Ms. Testaverde?
Yes.
Chairman Sullivan?
Yes. For the third, Harbor Consultants.
I'll second it.
Mr. Stoner seconds. Roll call, please.
Mr. Connor?
Yes.
Mr. Stoner?
Yes.
Ms. Chevalier?
Yes.
Mr. Scogno?
Yes.
Ms. Andrews?
Yes.
Ms. Testaverde?
Yes.
Chairman Sullivan?
Yes. We'll move on to traffic consultant nominations. I'll put up the first one is Environmental Resolutions, Inc.
I'll second. Roll call,
Mr.
please.
Connor,
Yes.
Mr. Stoner,
Yes.
Ms. Chevalier,
Yes.
Mr. Scogno,
Yes.
Ms. Andrews,
Yes.
Ms. Testaverde,
Yes.
Chairman Sullivan.
Yes. Second would be CME Associates.
I'll second
Roll call, please.
Mr. Connor,
it. Yes.
Mr. Stoner,
Yes.
Ms. Chevalier,
Yes.
Mr. Scogno,
Yes.
Ms. Andrews,
Yes.
Ms. Testaverde,
Yes.
Chairman Sullivan.
Yes. And finally, under traffic consultants, Rose Consulting Services.
I'll second.
Roll call, please.
Mr. Connor,
Yes.
Mr. Stoner,
Yes.
Ms. Chevalier,
Yes.
Mr. Scogno,
Yes.
Ms. Andrews,
Yes.
Ms. Testaverde,
Yes.
Chairman Sullivan.
Yes. Finally, we have forestry consultants. For those who would say why, well, when properties are built on or additions have to be made, there's growth on it. There's trees and some of them have to be maintained. There's entire rules under land use law for that. So we have to have a forestry professional. I'll nominate Chestnut AFS, that's Arboricultural Forestry Services, AKA Gary Lavala.
I'll second it.
Roll call, please.
Mr. Connor,
Yes.
Mr. Stoner,
Yes.
Ms. Chevalier,
Yes.
Mr. Scogno,
Yes.
Ms. Andrews,
Yes.
Ms. Testaverde,
Yes.
Chairman Sullivan.
Yes. Board members, we move to number 5 on the agenda, and that's the adoption. So in your package, you should have received a copy of this year's and past years' 2023 Zoning Board of Adjustment Rules and Regulations. If you haven't read them in the past, they're always good to polish up on once a year. Take some time to look at them. We do never want to run afoul of what the regulations are. That's why we have a professional attorney who sits with us for that. So having said that, I'm going to ask someone to move them for adoption for 2023.
Chairman,
I'm sorry.
may I?
Yes, by all means, Ms. Swan.
I'm just looking at it, and there is an edit I notice, and I do want to discuss it with Chris. So if the board can take their time and read through it, and then we can adopt it at the next meeting, that will be helpful. I'll circulate the edit because the special meetings, right? The language in there needs to,
Right,
yeah.
we changed it for COVID.
Right, we changed it for COVID, but right before the first paragraph, the language is not clear because typically in practice, a developer can make a request for a special meeting and then it's upon the board whether to accept the meeting or not, and then that is circulated by the chairman. So the language needs to be tweaked a little bit. So I would just recommend that the board read through these and give me any comments if they have any, but I do want to discuss it with Mr. Dasty.
We'll hold off on the adoption of the rules until the next meeting in that case. And I'm glad you picked up on that, and we'll have that for next meeting.
Sure.
Again, I would reiterate that it is always good to take a short read. It doesn't take long, half hour of your time. It might, particularly our newest member, it's a good thing to catch up on and see how the procedures work. So we will not act on that tonight. It will be moved to the next meeting. That brings us this evening. We have two applications. Both of them we're going to require G variance. So we'll pull them in order. That's 19-2022Z will be the first one. Kirit Kapadia. I hope I said that right. That's in the R20 zone, block 12360, lot 39, located 17 Hirschman Drive for a home addition. Is you, Mr. Kapadia?
Yes.
Please come forward, sir. Are you going to be the only one that testifies this evening?
I have my son.
Okay, the board attorney has to swear you in, so he'll swear, but you, gentlemen, you can come up, you can remain standing behind the seats, and after you're sworn in, you can be seated.
First, Mr. Capadio, let's start with you. Raise your right hand, please. Do you solemnly swear as the truth of the testimony of which you're about to provide to the board? Perfect, thank you. And Mr. Capadia, so it's K-I-R-I-T?
Yes.
Capadia, K-A-P-A-D-I-A, 17 Kirschman Drive, correct?
Yes.
Okay. And then yourself, what's your name?
Hold on one second, he's getting the microphone.
Oh, there we go, perfect.
Can I have you guys speak into this microphone, okay, please? Thank you.
You may seat. You may be seated after you introduce yourself.
I'm Vanil Kapadia.
Can you spell your name for?
It's D-H-W-A-N-I-L. Same last name, Kapadia.
Let me just want to verify with you. D-H-W-A-N-I-L?
Correct.
Okay. All right, Mr. Kapadia, can you raise your right hand? Do you solemnly swear as to the truth of the testimony for which you're about to provide to the board?
I do.
Thank you. All right, gentlemen, please be seated.
And you live at the same address, correct?
Sorry, yes.
Before we start the application, I just want to, I have to give you an advisory. And because this is a use application, the regulations that I had previously mentioned require the presence of a stenographer. And the reason that it does is so that there's an actual record of what the testimony would be. And that comes in handy for a number of reasons, but should the board not act favorably on your application and you want to pursue it, there would be a written record. You have the right to waive that because we do have a recorded record this evening, because we are on CATV 15. So other than counsel giving me advice to the contrary, that's what we would normally advise them, that it's up to them whether they want to waive that right or not.
Yes, and it's really up to you to waive that right, obviously, come here and proceed, and if you choose, should you choose to proceed, and it's really just, should, for example, your application be denied, or should a member of the public challenge it, or should the township for any reason challenge granting or denial of, the ultimate granting or denial of application. It's just to ensure that there is a concrete record. So for example, if this were to go for a judge, there would essentially be a binder that would say everything that was, a stenographer would record everything that is said, and so there would be no factual issues as to what exactly was said and who said what. So that's just to preserve that for appeal, more or less. So just wanted to advise anyone who appears with a stenographer as to that for going forward. Essentially proceeding tonight, should you wish for it to proceed to a vote, not a continuance, anything like that, it would essentially be waiving that right.
Yeah, so just a question with that. So it's normal procedure, so we are waiving the right to have a stenographer, or?
What we're saying is that the rules mandate that you bring one.
Oh.
However, you have the right to waive that. In your case, this is an application that you're handling on your own. You're not using other professionals, right? I asked you, is anybody testifying? This is going to be you and your father testifying as to the facts.
Yes.
There are certain proofs that need to go on the record. The board attorney will try and keep us in line, and he might try and help you to make sure that you get them, elicit those for the record. You do not have to accept that. You can say, we'll come back with it. But what I advised you was that we do have, at least this is being recorded on CATV 15. Am I correct, sir? All right. So there would be a record, and you have the right to waive the fact that we have a rule that says you need a stenographer.
Yeah.
And you could proceed then.
Yeah, we will waive that.
You will waive that, okay. Because this is a D or a use variance application, as I said, there's certain things that we need to know. In essence, what we received is the information that you're going to put a home addition onto the rear of your home, and we received certain plans, and the board members have had a chance to review them. So what we need you to do is, in your own words, simply advise the board what you're going to do, how you're going to accomplish it, what it's going to encompass, the structure, how this is going to be built, the need for this, because what you're asking us to do is change a zoning variance, and in order to do so, you have to show certain need for what's going on. So I don't know if this is a family issue, but we're going to find out. So you can proceed at your own pace. Then what's going to happen is our professional, the planner, Ms. Sawant, may have some questions of you. The board members may have some questions for you. Vice versa, you may have some questions for us. After all that goes down, we have what's called a public portion. That's when I'm going to ask anyone here in the audience tonight if they have any comments on this. For, against, whatever they may have. Should there be favorable or none, either way, then you can ask for me to take a vote from the board. Or you can ask for a continuance if you don't think you've convinced the board sufficiently. You may want to continue if something comes up and you think, I might need some professional help on this. All right? So I try to make it as simple as possible for you. I hope it's not too complicated and too much to absorb. But why don't you just start and tell me what's going on and what you're trying to do?
Sure. So the reason what we're looking to do is we want to put an addition on the home. The addition will consist of a bedroom and a bathroom on the first floor, as well as the extension of the family room area. The need for that is as the family grows and as my parents get older, having a room on the first floor would be useful for them to be able to use that, and that is our intention. So we are looking to put it just a single level addition, which will put it behind the house in the backyard. It will have one master bedroom style suite with a bathroom and extended family room.
This you say to the rear of the property, correct?
Correct.
So you wouldn't see this from the front of the property at all?
No.
Do you live in a homeowners association? Or are you under a homeowners association?
Yes.
Have you received any record from them for acceptance or no contest, or have you approached them?
We sent out the notification as part of the regulations that we were going to do this, but we haven't applied at the homeowners association for that.
Ms. Sawant?
So as, I think I have it in my memo, as part of the condition of approval, should the board act favorably, my office will require a written certification from the HOA that they do not have any objections to this.
Yeah, understood, and we'll file for it as soon as we have that.
Sure.
So any decision would be contingent upon the approval of the homeowners association?
That is correct.
So even if we voted favorably, should they deny, then the resolution would not stand.
That is correct.
Anything else you want to tell me at this point?
No.
Mrs. Sawant, do you have questions for the applicant?
I don't have any questions per se. I reviewed the application. I tried to do some bit of homework on their part, because typically when there is a D4 use variance or a floor area ratio variance, what we require is the applicant to justify why we should allow that additional square footage, right? So what I did is I looked at our tax map, I looked at the square footage of the homes in the neighborhood, and there are other homes that have similar FAR. Now, this project is part of Yardley Manor, right? And it was approved as an alternate development or cluster zoning development many years back, which meant that although the underlying zone is R20, they were approved with a smaller lot size in lieu of having open space. And that is why you'll notice in the review memo, the R20 standards do not apply to the project. It's the R9 standards that apply, because that's what it was approved of. It's a little complicated in Old Bridge. I literally went through these cluster zone developments. There are apparently 30 of them. Unfortunately, other than some employees that have been working for many years or who have records, there is no way to track down these cluster developments. So I'm getting familiar with it, but what I want to do is I want to map them on our zoning map, so it's not so difficult for the zoning board members as well as anybody who was reviewing the application that it was part of special zoning standards. And then things will become easier, and at some point create ordinances specific to these so that they will have their own bulk standards. They are enumerated in the zoning ordinance, and there is no more confusion. Because now these projects are fully built. All the 30-some cluster developments are already built, and when people like the applicant come in, it's always a challenge. So it's something on our list to clean up and make it easier for the applicant as well, and avoid having them come back to the board. But it's a work in progress.
and this has been going on with many of these. We've seen more and more of this, and the board is well aware of that. Those that have been seated here for a few years, and because of the way they constructed, we just had one with the papers. It was an overuse of the landscape area, but when they developed the cluster zones like that, this is something that we should bring to the attention of council at the end of the year.
Yes, that is, so right now the zoning office is working with us to create a list of these properties. I want it to be a part of our annual report so that and actually the council is fully aware, because I have been going in front of the council and making those changes on, like I recently did the Woodhaven section OC2, which fronts on Texas Road. So they are aware that there will be many more ordinances such as that one that will come in front of them. So yes, but it will be part of the annual report. But other than that, I really don't have any concerns. I noticed that the adjacent homes also have similar FAR, so it's pretty consistent, and that is why I created that map to help you review the neighboring floor areas of homes. So I think that helps. The only thing I would say is, one of the common is sometimes what happens, it becomes a bit challenging when a homeowner comes in. We have the existing survey and then we have the architectural drawings, but they don't give us a site plan which merges to the existing home and what is proposed. So it's very hard for us to calculate the setbacks and make sure they meet. In your case, I know my office tried their best, but when you come back, there is one condition we have put in, that please submit revised plans to show those details on the site plans. Your architect can do that for you. It shouldn't be too cumbersome, but have that on your submission so that we can verify the numbers are accurate and everything works fine. Because we didn't have the square footage of your existing home. We actually had to measure it and come up with those. But it's easy for the architect to do it.
Okay. So this is what the planner is saying, that you're going to have to supply revised plans. We can approve or disapprove on a vote tonight, but it's contingent on that the architect would file plans that the township would need in order to give it the go-ahead. You would get a resolution incumbent upon that.
Right. So what happens is, once at the next meeting, the board approves the resolution. So you'll take a vote tonight. A resolution will be prepared by the board attorney. They will memorialize it at the next meeting. Once they memorialize it, you'll get a call from my office saying that your resolution is ready for pickup. You take the resolution and work with your architect to create revised site plans. Once you have the revised submission, bring it back to my office. I will review it, I will okay it, and then you're ready to go for permits to the building department. Because then, when the zoning office reviews it again, they want to make sure everything is consistent. It is much smoother forward. So make sure to come back to my office and we'll take it from there.
Sure. And in the resolution or in the instructions, you will have exactly what you need on there, right? With the plans, as you can see.
Actually, if you just have, if you stop by my office or ask for a meeting with me or have your architect call me, that should be sufficient before he submits any plans, so that you're not wasting paper. I hate wasting paper.
Perfect. Thank you.
You understand what you're speaking about.
Yeah.
Let me ask you one question. You're at lot number 30 on Kirschman. If you were looking, if I was standing in front of your house and looking at your house, the two houses to your right, that would be lot 40 and 41, their FAR is also above the standard for there. Did they do an extension?
To the left, I'm assuming.
If I was standing, you're lot 30, if I was standing directly in front of your house looking at your house, it would be the two lots to your right. The next two.
Okay, yeah.
Did they do an extensions on their home? Have you
I
lived there long enough to know that? Or
yes, we have lived there long enough, but I think they have had a pool put in, but not sure if the extension was
What Mrs. Wan was saying, there's other homes in the area that
Yes.
have a higher FAR.
Yeah.
That happens to be two of them right next
Yes.
door. So I was curious if they did similar extensions. I don't know if they came before us.
You know what? There is, I mean, I'll have to go and look for it.
I don't think it's necessary,
But I didn't really go looking for it because the tax record has it clear, so I didn't have a reason to go. I'm assuming because otherwise the zoning office, when they denied yours, they would have gone and checked and probably slammed a denial or a violation for sure.
And Mr. Capadia, just for the record, Kareem, how long have you lived there? Or how long have you owned the property?
Right since, like, you know, it was built, so that was removing the house in 1999. And since then, we have.
And how many people live there now?
Now it's total 5.
Total of 5, okay. And that's part of that 5 is for the reason you're seeking that. I'm trying to just get as part of the burden that you have to meet. Sure, did you have a chance to review this? It was sent via email to you that has the general comments. It also has what it was saying in terms of the submitting revised plans, but also in terms of the certain things they have to meet, showing that it meets, for example, furthers the goals of the master plan. Essentially, I'm trying to just help you build your case a little bit in terms of showing that it doesn't negatively affect, and that's what we're all kind of doing a little bit, just in showing that, you know, in the surrounding, if the surrounding homes had a similar thing, that it's within character in the surrounding neighborhood.
Yeah, in other words, the only issue you have here is because of the zone and because of the mathematics, when you put this addition on, it's going to look, I'm sure, perfect. And probably no one will even notice it unless they walk in your backyard. But it triggers a variance, and it's the only variance, as a matter of fact. It won't trigger any setbacks. It won't trigger any front yard setbacks, side yard setback, or rear yard setbacks. So it's just the floor area ratio. So you're doing this to better your family. It's a need that you have at this particular time in life.
Correct. It's to better the family, and again, as parents age, you know, having them climb up the stairs and things, it will make it that we can live there.
So that it's
longer.
particularly on the one level, because you have another level.
Yes.
And just, Ms. Swan, go right ahead.
Can I try to help?
Please help, yes.
So typically, when you ask for any type of use variance, right, the law requires that you present positive criteria and negative criteria. If there are any negative criteria, the idea is the positive criteria should overcome the negative criteria if there are any. Now, in your case, and typically a use variance is represented by an attorney, a planner, and the planner does the justification. I'm going to just help you testify and present those proofs, right? So, in terms of negative criteria, the addition that you're proposing, is the addition visible from the street?
It should not be, because it's directly just expanding back into the backyard with nothing on the side.
So in your opinion, will there be any visual negative impact to a passerby or to your neighbor?
It should not be. Again, it's just one level, so it doesn't even cover any of the views of our neighbors in the backyard or their backyards as well.
In terms of the side yard, is there a fence that separates the side yard, or is there some landscaping that visually, is a visual barrier to the screening, to the addition?
Yeah, so both sides of the neighbors, including we have open space in the backyard. There is fencing all around the property.
And your property, if I'm not mistaken, backs the open space, right?
I'm sorry?
Your property backs the open space, right?
Correct.
So on the rear side, there is no neighbor that really can, that the addition really hampers or hinders their view, correct?
Correct. It is wide open space, almost the length of the
So
same
now
property.
we have established that there are no negative impacts. In terms of positive impacts, you're building this addition to help support your parents live in the house with you. You have been a resident for 20-some years and you want to continue to grow your family at that location, correct?
Correct.
I think we covered it, right?
I think, in no way, and you put on the record that you plan on renting this as another apartment for an outsider or a Airbnb or anything along that line, right?
No, it's primarily for family use.
Strictly for family.
Yes.
Let me just see if the other board members might want to have a comment. I'll go down to my left, Mr. Rizzo. Okay. Mr. Scott, Yeah, Mr. Scott? No? Ms. Chevalier? Mr. Stone?
Yeah, I just have one question. What are you doing for heating in that room? In the plans to it?
It'll be full, it's a bedroom and bathroom, so it'll be regular, just contiguous. I guess the heat system, whatever you have in there.
Will be expanded.
Right?
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, it's not separated from the house in any way. I think it's up there on the screen, the drawing.
It'll be
It's
fully
just-
enclosed rooms, not
yeah.
not a sunroom.
Yeah.
Okay.
So we will expand the heating and the air conditioning to that area.
Oh, okay.
And to that point, in terms of aesthetic, will that be the same aesthetic as the remainder of the house or the current components of the house?
Correct. We will make sure the outside, the sidings and the roofing, everything is consistent with the rest of the house. It won't be different. The interior, again, will be painted and everything consistent.
Okay, thank you.
Mr. Connor, anything?
No questions.
Roseanne?
Will you have access to the backyard directly from that room?
No,
No opening from that room or from the new addition on the family room to get to the outside?
No.
Just in case of the safety?
So what will happen is the room is going through the addition being built where the current access to the backyard is, the patio doors. What is going to happen is those patio doors will be moved to the side of the house where the addition is not there. So we will still have the access to the backyard. It will just be, instead of in the middle of the house, it will just be on the side of the house.
Okay, no, I was looking at it from a different point. I was looking at it from the fact that you're moving further away and I don't know how the exits are from the other rooms. I was looking from it because you're going to have parents a little elderly for a safety factor, that there would be access directly out of that room, God forbid anything. That's the reason I'm asking.
Okay. Yeah, in the plans we haven't, but that is a good point you make. So we'll look to maybe have a door that exits right outside of the additional bedroom. So again, if any emergency, they have a way to go outside.
I think there's already a access.
The access door is quite close to the addition because sometimes what happens is when you have direct access from a bedroom like that, heating and cooling becomes a problem and the room gets much colder. I would prefer it the way it is because it's pretty close to the... Yeah.
Easily to get through there.
It is if you look.
It is actually, if you look at the floor plan.
I'm terrible at
Oh, okay. No, it's there.
Males do much better. I'm not a spatial person.
I see. Ms. Testaverde?
No question.
And Ms. Swan, anything else?
No questions.
Counselor? Do you have anything else you want to tell us at this point? I'd like to go to a public portion if that's okay with you.
Yes.
All right. This is matter 19-2022Z, the location is 17 Kirshner Drive. This is for a home addition to the rear of the home, requiring no bulk variances, but a use variance for D-floor floor area ratio. Does anybody here in the room want to be heard in this matter? Please raise your hand or stand. No one has, I'll close the public portion. Any final comments you'd like to make?
Thank you for the time for reviewing our application.
Okay. It seems pretty straightforward. I recognize the fact that as we age, and I'm one of those people as well, we do need the help of others, and it's admirable that you're willing to do that and keep the family unit together. Not only that, but staying here in Old Bridge, which is important to us as well, to keep the community strong and your investment strong. So having said that, I'm going to ask and see if anybody wants to approve this for the D4 floor area ratio.
Chevalier to approve.
Is there a second?
Second, Scogno.
Second by Mr. Scogno. Roll call, please.
Mr. Connor?
Yes.
Mr. Stoner?
Yes.
Ms. Chevalier?
Yes.
Mr. Scogno,
Yes.
Ms. Andrews,
Yes.
Ms. Testaverde,
Yes.
Chairman Sullivan.
Yes. You'll have a resolution next month at our next meeting, so I wish you well. Don't forget that there's 2 things that you have to do. It's got to match. You have to, I'm sorry, 3. You have to get a letter from the HOA sent to the planning department, and you have to have your architect redraw the plan so that it's in appearance with the planning department. Okay? Thank you very much for being here this night.
Thank you very much.
All right, the final matter of the evening we'll move forward is 52-2022Z. It's Louis Grosvenor. I'm going to ask you to pronounce that when you come up because I think I probably didn't get it right. It's Louise too, right? It's Lois. This is the R5 Zones Block 26021 Lot 81 261 Shoreline Circle Single Family Home. It's going to require a C and D variance. Ma'am, you're going to be the only one to testify this evening?
Yes.
You heard you were probably here for all the advice we gave earlier about, particularly about waiving a right to a stenographer because there would be a D variance involved in this. Did you understand what we meant by that?
Yes.
The rules and regulations? Okay. The board attorney is going to swear you in, and then on the record, we'll ask you to please state that.
Can you please raise your right hand? Do you solemnly swear to tell the truth of the testimony you're about to provide to the board? All you gotta say is I do. Did you understand what I said? Okay. Those are the 2 things that, no, you don't need to repeat. And we have you live at the address?
No.
No, it's a vacant.
So,
It's a vacant lot.
so what is your address?
142 Will House.
Thank you. Yes,
All right, could you pronounce your last name for me once again?
Grosvenor.
Grosvenor. Thank you. I'm sorry that I didn't get it right. You have been sworn in. I'm going to ask you, because of the fact that you don't have a stenographer, are you going to waive that right?
Yes.
Okay, thank you. We can move forward. That's a directional mic, and you really literally have to, yes, direct voice into it. We know from what you have sent us, you want to build a 2-story single-family home on an existing foundation. The previous home was destroyed by fire.
Yes.
This is down in the Bay Area, correct?
Lawrence Harbor.
Yeah. And did you own the home when it was destroyed? Okay. Why don't you just tell us in your own words how you came about this, what you're looking to do, how the situation happened, and anything else you'd like to tell us?
Okay, I usually walk along that path
Okay.
over there, and as I was walking, I saw the sign that I always wanted to be able to have a house, and so I bought the land. And so there is an existing foundation, and then on the front there is an existing patio brick in the front, and so we're just looking to build a 2-floor single family, 2 bedrooms on the first floor. Keep that patio in the front area, as you can see there, and have a second floor which is like a home office.
You're going to stay within the footprint? You're not really going to stay within the
We're
footprint
just
of the
extending the back.
foundation, right?
The back.
There's obviously a number of variances that are necessary for approval of that.
Right.
I'm looking at this and it says we need minimum front yard where you're adding on maximum floor area ratio, which that triggers the D variance which the previous applicant had, and of course minimum side yard setbacks and combined existing non-conforming. Most of those homes we're well aware that they don't, particularly with side yard setbacks, they don't comply because they were homes that were vacation homes way back, and that was the history there, and they were like cabanas, bungalows, thank you. And you could reach out at one side and touch your neighbor's house. So we understand that there's some hardship there because it's difficult to comply with the regulations. Nonetheless, we kind of we need you to try and put a few things on the record. You're extending out front wide. You had our architect obviously draw this, I would assume.
Yes.
Is it necessary? In other words, if we could minimize you already have a parking issue there as well, right?
Just one car that can park.
Yeah, the requirement's 2, you're saying no.
Park on the
but-
front right side.
This one?
Your plan shows that there will be one car. The problem with that is it does not meet the standards for parking. Our ordinance requires that the curb length to the car be 23 feet and the width be 10 feet. Since the space is 15.5 feet, it really technically doesn't qualify as a parking stall because the width is less too. The width is only 6.5. So where the ordinance requires 2 parking spaces, in reality, although your drawing shows it, there is no parking that is fully compliant with the ordinance. What Chairman Sullivan is asking is there a way you could shrink it in the front to create a legal parking spot?
So the spot where the cars are now, the
Mhm.
car parks now, you're saying that's too small?
There is no car that parks
Yeah,
now.
there is a car that parks.
No, that's on your plan.
Sorry?
That's on your plan.
No, it's existing there now.
But there is no house there now.
No, but there's an asphalt area
Right, that's the
Where?
driveway.
where the cars were
Correct.
parked.
But it's your driveway, but the driveway width is also not compliant. And you're in front of the board asking for relief on that because the ordinance requires a 10 feet driveway typically. And I understand in Lawrence Harbor area, these lots are smaller, so it's hard. But what the chairman is asking is there a way you could shrink the building footprint? A, because you don't have parking, we would create then a decent parking space in the front. 2, because you're asking for numerous variances, including landscape area ratio, which means that you're proposing a bigger home than what is permitted in terms of the lot size, plus the floor area. So we're trying to see if we can minimize some variances that you're asking for.
When you say landscaping, you're saying the front or the back?
No. So for any lot, the township has a requirement that X amount of percentage of your lot should be landscape. It's impervious coverage, which means it's either grass or it's maintained in the natural form. It appears, just looking at, because those calculations were not provided by the architect to me, just by the look of it, it appears that you don't meet the landscape area ratio requirement. The township's ordinance requires a 0.45, and it looks like it's much more than that. So what we're asking is, have you looked at did you look at the review memo?
Yes, I did. I got it this morning.
Right.
This afternoon.
So there I'm asking you in my review memo, have you considered shrinking the size of the building to try and comply with some of the requirements of the ordinance?
Even if there's an existing patio area in the front?
Yeah, but you're also adding stuff in the back, right?
Only in the back, not in the front. The front has a patio area.
Do you have a picture?
I sure do. It's existing.
Was it submitted as part of the record? Did you submit any pictures? I didn't see any.
No.
No.
Is that on your phone?
Yes.
Okay. Councilor Commissioner. I don't know if you want to, which look at a picture that we can't maintain as
Yeah, I mean,
The problem is, even with the near maps, Google Earth imagery, it still shows the house. It doesn't show the front. I would have hoped that there were some pictures to support the testimony, since there is no planner or an attorney. I'm just trying to see how we can help.
Yeah, the Google image.
I think on the
Google image
survey,
shows
I
you
think on the
details.
survey, it shows the front.
Can you pull up the survey, Natalie? Can you zoom in?
Right, so you see where is the line that says 6.5, right? You see that where it says pavers?
Yes.
Right.
Okay, that's there, that's existing there. And that, and right next to it is where the car is parked.
Says asphalt.
It says pavers.
Yes, and there's a spot that says, that's a asphalt.
Yes, that's asphalt where the car parks.
Did the architect put this, other than the front extension, completely on top of the footprint? Meaning the foundation that's there?
You started the building from where the existing foundation is. So there's pavers,
Yep.
then the foundation then begins.
Did he go, he went beyond the foundation in the rear too, I would think?
Only in the rear, not the front.
Only in the rear.
No. So those pavers will stay there, pretty much. Sure.
What is this for?
That's, I believe, is the curb.
So your pavers extend into the
Straight
street?
Straight to the curb. That's how it is. Yeah. So if we have to change the front, that's not a problem. Because we're not really doing much to the front. I just wanted in some plants, that's all.
Well, certainly, you have a great plan, and we certainly want to see the land repurposed, and I know you want to build a home there and live there. And we'd like to work with you and try and make this fit, be, excuse me, somewhat in compliance, so we could grant these variances with clear conscience. But the parking has been an issue down there, and we have to make sure we're going to be able to allow parking off the street. It's already a huge problem down there. I don't know what you know about the area.
Right, but that's why that space is there where the car parks.
No, I understand.
Asphalt area, yeah.
So typically, I've seen that the newer homes in Lawrence Harbor, they have parking on the ground floor, and the living space is above the garage for the same reason, because Lawrence Harbor has an issue with parking. It's very hard to find parkings there. So the newer homes that come in, they typically will have a garage on the ground floor, and then you have stairs that take you to the living room, and then you have the bedrooms on the house.
If we could, we can always remove the pavers and put 2 cars there. You can put, because there's one space for a car.
My goal would be to create at least one conforming parking stall. I mean, the board can grant variance on the second one, provided we create at least one conforming. And that's what I was hoping for.
So the asphalt area there, you're saying doesn't conform parking?
No.
My car fixed it.
So, I mean, yes, it depends. If you're trying to park, I'm not saying yours is a Mini Cooper, but some cars that have lesser length, you can definitely fit it. But the state has requirements for residential. The township has requirements for parking stall size. So typically, it's 10 feet by 20 feet. When you have a curb and a single family home, the township requires a 23 feet length. I would be okay if it's less and we grant a waiver, but at least it should be a little more than 15 feet.
Okay, so you're saying to move, go further back?
Yeah.
Same width, but go further back.
Board, we're going to take a recess for 2 minutes. Mr. Lund wants to look into some issues, and we'll return shortly. Okay? We'll be off the record.
Chairman Sullivan,
Here.
Mr. Connor,
Here.
Mr. Stoner,
Here.
Ms. Chevalier,
Here.
Mr. Scogno,
Here.
Ms. Andrews,
Here.
Ms. Testaverde,
Here.
Mr. Izzo.
Here. Thank you. We were on matter 52-2022Z located 261 Shoreline Circle. I think that a conference has been had, and I believe that the applicant is going to ask for continuation at this point. There are some matters that you'd like to, I believe, check with your architect before we move any further. I know it's a complex issue, and I know you're trying to go on your own on this, so we would like to give you the best advice we can, but of course we want to see you be happy as well. So I do think that's probably a good idea if you do consult with them, and perhaps your professional could consult with township professionals. Maybe it might be able to lessen or mitigate some of the variances in some ways. And I think that would probably be a better build for you to live in as well. That's just my personal opinion of the record. You are going to ask for a continuance, right?
Yes.
Okay.
If you want to turn yours on, I did turn it off.
Yeah, just push the button and it should turn green.
Push them out.
There you go. All right. You are going to be asking for a continuance,
Yes,
correct?
I'm asking for a continuance.
All right. And we're going to put this on February 2?
Yes.
That's going to be enough time? All right. For those here this evening, this matter is going to be placed on the agenda for February 2nd, 2023, next month. So there'll be no further hearing on it tonight. It will be continued to that date. We thank you for coming in. We thank you for your time. We look forward to seeing you again, and hope we can help you out and rectify that situation, okay? Happy New Year.
Yeah, and just to clarify, so no additional renotice will be required.
Oh, okay.
Thank you. Okay, that is the last matter for the evening. Any general comments from council professionals?
Nothing on my end.
Forward for a busy this year. A lot of applications, exciting projects lined up. So looking forward to working with all of you.
The next meeting would be virtual this
So,
month. If
so the meeting is slated for January 19. As of now, we do not have any complete C variance application. So we will send out an email next week confirming, but we may cancel that meeting because we don't have a C application. We have a lot of D applications pending, so we will have a busy February 2nd night.
Thank you, Mrs. Walker.
Yes.
Any comments on my left? Mr. Rizzo, welcome. I hope you get to enjoy the board and participate. We look forward to it. Next month, we will have another member joining us that I guess was too late to reach the council before the reorganization meeting. So I'm told that next month we'll have another swearing in to fill the final position, alternate number 2. So once again, I welcome you, sir, and I wish everybody a happy New Year. Someone want to call for an adjournment?
I'll call for an adjournment.
Ms. Chevalier, all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? We stand adjourned. Thank you, everybody.
Let me tell you, very proud. Nice, good people. Yes. Good people. I like Jackson. Honest, good.